since 1920.
A rivalry, 90 years in the making.
230 meetings.
It's a rivalry with the deepest of roots.
The Duke-Carolina game is like no other game.
Until you play in that game, you don't know what it's about.
The intensity, the passion, it's marked in your calendar. You know, you want to beat those guys.
It epitomizes the biggest rivalry I've ever been a part of.
A rivalry that has the power to split families and friends.
You can win championships, but if you don't win that rivalry, it all means nothing.
Oh, Duke has done it! North Carolina has knocked off its arch rival.
To go in there and get a victory, it's very satisfying.
I love beating Duke.
It's a different type of environment. You have to take a stand.
Knock down, drag out, fist fight.
Oh, we got a fight over here. Look out. Watch out. He took a shot to the face. Impact. Wow.
Everyone had so much emotionally invested into the game.
You could not hide the desire to win.
Looking inside the alley-oop for Jordan. Watch it. Up and in. What a shot. Oh, what a dunk.
This is the only blue that really matters.
This is my shade of blue.
Cable with 2 seconds.
It's Duke.
It's North Carolina.
Watch out.
It's like no other game.
Duke
versus North Carolina.
Michael Jordan puts it up. Oh, my goodness. Yes, sir. Big finish. Dreams to come true. As good as it gets. And a big welcome to our first ever primetime regular season game on CBS, and a matchup meritorious of the occasion. Duke and North Carolina, a winner-take-all showdown for the ACC regular season title. And hello, friends, Jim Nance along with my partner Clark Kellogg. Great to be back with you, Clark. It's been since the championship game, and we're on the road to the Final Four, beginning right now, and what a way to start.
And to be with you, partner, you're right, a terrific way to start. You're talking about Duke with 2 of the best seniors in the country, 2 of the best players. Nolan Smith in the discussion for Player of the Year, one of 3 players averaging over 20 points a game and 5 rebounds, assists a game as well. Kyle Singler has been excellent throughout his career. Those are his career numbers as well.
And North Carolina on the rise late in the year, coming in with 6 straight wins and moving up in the rankings.
Just what you like to see at this time of year. Back in December, Roy Williams told me his team had a chance to really get better, and they've continued to do so.
Big reason why the play of this young man, the point guard, Kendall Marshall.
He's been outstanding. He's got excellent peripheral vision. He leads the ACC in assists, and he's willing to give the ball up early. He doesn't allow it to stick in his hands. If you're open, he'll get it to you.
It's Duke at North Carolina coming up for the ACC regular season title. We'll continue with Greg Gumbel on the road to the Final Four in a moment.
There is nothing like the Duke-Carolina rivalry. Here we go.
Muscle in his way. Watch out now.
Oh, my goodness.
All down to the
This is always special.
The faces change.
The names on the back of the jerseys change.
But the names on the front.
Names on the front
Never will. Duke, North Carolina.
All right, the lineups for these 2 decorated programs, 2 Hall of Fame coaches. Coach K starting Nolan Smith, who leads the conference in scoring with Curry in the back court. Singler, Mason Plumlee, Ryan Kelly. Now, the North Carolina lineup, it is senior night here. They're going to go with the freshman point, Marshall, Bolin, Johnston, Knox, a graduate student, and Van Hatchel. So 3 walk-ons, a graduate student, and a freshman. We'll get a little action to begin things. It's a Tar Heel tradition as Knox battles with the tip, and Carolina has it in the hands of Kendall Marshall. A long-standing tradition at North Carolina. The seniors get the start. This is Knox. Fade away, no, and Singler underneath has it taken away by Hatchel to maintain the possession for the Heels. That's Bolnick underneath. Out to Knox at the free throw line. He had 2 good looks.
He sure did. He sure did, Jim. Well done by the walk-ons there to keep balls alive and get 2 quality shots.
Curry and the doubles. Curry had a monster game in the first matchup. Kelly from the corner with a three. Tipped out to Smith. Top of the key three. No. And coming in is Hatchell with a second rebound. The son of the women's coach here at North Carolina. And Johnston making a play there too. DJ Johnston. Driving to the basket for two is Kendall Marshall.
How about this injection of energy and solid play from these three walk-ons out here?
I tell you, DJ Johnson's made a couple of nice plays to keep a possession going and a rebound. Kelly with another three. Pulled down by Knox. And the freshman with the four seniors, three of whom are walk-ons, doing some good work in 90 seconds. Knox set up, blocked. What a foul call.
Wow.
Wow, you talk about just another notch of energy coming into.
Without question. What an injection.
Coach K, 895 all-time wins, 8 victories shy of the all-time record, which would supplant his college coach Bob Knight with the most in history. Mason Plumlee called for the foul. And Knox at the line, former University of Alabama player, graduate student here. And there's Roy Williams, a Hall of Famer himself, 2 national championships. Here at his alma mater, 799th career game on the sideline. Bullock, Hatchell, and Johnston all come out after good work by all three.
Excellent work. And remember now, these guys practice every day, and they certainly played like they practiced. Focused, hard, productive.
Well, they outscored the Duke starters 3-0 as John Henson, Harrison Barnes comes in, along with Dexter Strickland. Tyler Zeller still not seeing his first action. A couple of minutes in, their leading scorer. Singler, the senior, with a freshman on him. Singler driving on Barnes. Kelly with a third shot. 0 for 3.
One of the keys for Duke is to make sure they get back in transition. Did a nice job there, and Henson shoots it over the rim.
Wildly puts it up.
But Carolina wants to get that ball inside to Henson. Zeller getting ready to check in as well. They really had an advantage in the early going in the meeting in Durham. They jumped out to a 14-point lead because Henson and Zeller were dominant inside.
This will put Singler on the line. And the foul is on Henson. Duke's missed his first 4 shots from the field, 3 of them from behind the arc, and Singler steps in. And with this free throw, he's a point away from tying Phil Ford for 11th on the all-time conference scoring list. This next free throw could move him into 11th alone as Miles Plumlee comes in, along with Tyler Zeller, the junior from Washington, Indiana.
And going back to Singler, he is fast approaching the 2K, 1K club as well. 40 rebounds shy of going over 1,000 in his career.
He moves past the Carolina legend, Phil Ford, into 11th all-time conference scoring list. He needs 21 on the night to move past David Thompson into the top 10. That's a pretty good pair, huh?
Oh, impressive company there. You're right. This guy's been so good, Jim. He's 11-1 as a starter, is Kendall Marshall, because he's all about serving his teammates by giving them the ball when they want it, where they want it.
Second foul already on Mason Plumlee. It's North Carolina made his first trip down the floor with its regular starting 5.
That's big, Jim, because one of the other keys, in addition to transition defense for Duke, is being able to keep Carolina off the offensive glass. Now Miles Plumlee comes in. He's got to do a bang-up job on the boards. Mason is averaging 10 rebounds a game.
Marshall on Smith. Comes back out with it. Here's Barnes, who just hit the winner the other night against Florida State, a 3 with 3 seconds to go.
How about the matchup here? Singler and Barnes, they guarded each other in Durham and both had subpar offensive games.
Marshall gets it back out. Strickland.
Plenty of time left on the shot clock here.
Just moving inside of 10. Henson, baseliner, yes. John Hinson, the sophomore from Tampa, Florida, had 14 points and 12 rebounds. First matchup against Duke. Carolina had a big lead in that game, including 14 up at the half. Only to see the Devils come back and win it. Singler, no. And Miles Plumlee with the putback.
Big time work that time by Plumlee. Good job by Duke getting back in deep. No help on the backside, and Kelly can't afford to gamble on that pass, that empty pass into the low post. But he was looking for help on the weak side by the way he reacted.
So Zeller able to take advantage, and that's a turnover against the Devils as we reach the first break. This is the 231st meeting, so many of them memorable, including back in '94 here at Carolina. Jordan, Perkins, and Doherty's last home game. Doherty hit a shot to send the game in overtime, leading the Tar Heels eventually to the victory in double OT. Clark, build me a case here for Duke getting a #1 seed next Sunday.
Well, they need to take care of business here and then in the ACC tournament, but clearly, compared to the other teams being considered, I think you've got the cement dry on Ohio State and Kansas as #1 seeds, and then after that, you're looking at Pittsburgh, perhaps Duke in that mix as well.
Barnes step back three. Wow, what a shot. His first shot since hitting the three at the end of the game to knock out the Seminoles down at Florida State. And there's Curry at the other end gunning a three.
And he had a big game in Durham. He went for 22 in that win at Durham, Jim, and he had 18 of those 22 in the second half. One of Roy Williams' concerns is the fact that Duke has a lot of three-point firepower. Singler, Nolan Smith, Curry, Ryan Kelly, all can shoot the three, and then Andre Dawkins comes off the bench, and he's lethal from behind the arc as well.
Kelly with a good box out to get that rebound. Bounce pass down low, and he travels, and Miles Plumlee.
Boy, I'm not sure about that. He was a little unclean with the catch, but that doesn't necessarily mean that he shuffled his feet. I thought he just bobbled the ball a bit, gathered himself. I thought his feet were stationary.
Here's the North Carolina lineup that's won 11 of its last 12. The only loss was the game at Durham, game in which they had a great shot at winning, up 16, in fact, at one time. That's 11-1 with this young man in the starting lineup. Zeller outside, too strong, back of the rim, and there's Miles Plumlee pulling it down. Gets the screen and takes advantage. It's another shot from the outside.
Boy, that's something to have that kind of firepower coming off your bench.
Count that basket. Foul on Curry as Strickland bangs it home.
That's not really a fast break attack, but it is early offense. And because Duke wasn't solid down in the stand, Strickland, who excels at taking the ball to the rim, uses that strong body of his to play through the contact of Curry and get the bucket. So good, quick attack by North Carolina after the made field goal.
Carolina leads it at 12-10. Curry for a third time. No. Miles Plumlee back outside. Curry thought about it. That's going to be a call on Marshall. His first.
I like the aggressiveness of Seth Curry here. He knocked down a couple. Wow, that's close. Extremely close. Another look up tight. Boy, that could have gone the other way. He got that chicken wing right into the chest of Kendall Marshall, and you're allowed to be moving laterally as long as you're in a legal guarding position. That could have gone the other way.
Leslie McDonald is in for the Tar Heels #2 as Singler was driving to the paint. And that's a foul call on Barnes, his first.
Well, I really like the fact that Singler and Barnes are matched up with each other. Oftentimes you'll see the best player from one team maybe not defend the other team's best player.
Smith dribbles through traffic and lays it in. Nolan Smith. Carolina with 5 baskets in this game by 5 different players. And this is going the other way. This is going against the Tar Heels.
Who did they get, Jim? Did they get Henson? I'm not sure who they called that on.
They called it on Henson, and that's his second.
You saw Kyrie Irving making another step in the progression of his rehabilitation from the toe injury, but the foul was called on John Henson away from the ball, rooting out a defender. They got Ryan Kelly that time, Jim.
They actually call it on Nolan Smith.
Oh, did they? Wow, I thought they got Kelly for the illegal screen.
So that's the first on Smith.
He's wondering if it was on him as well.
Yep. He's looking up to make sure. He's checking to see what they post. Now they've switched it. I think there's still confusion. They call it on Miles Plumlee, his first. McDonald. Yes, that's a 2.
That's got to be a big part of what North Carolina does, not only tonight, but going forward. Their perimeter shooters have not shot the ball well, and when you've got inside players like Zeller and Henson, you need your good shooters to knock down perimeter shots.
No, had an open shot, pulled down by Watts. Strickland back outside. And now Barnes. Kelly able to chase it down off the bounce.
Well, nice job by Barnes to get through that screen action and right on top of Singler's right hand.
And that was last touch by Zeller. It'll stay with Duke. We see Andre Dawkins with 8 points a game coming in for the first time.
Well, he's an excellent three-point shooter as well, Jim. Over 40% from behind the three-point line on the season, but in ACC play, only 32%.
Beautiful pass. Smith to Plumlee. And Miles dumps it down.
And he's giving him a nice lift, Jim, with his brother picking up the 2 early fouls. Miles Plumlee, who hasn't played a lot of late. He's only played 48 minutes in the last 5 ball games. Getting an opportunity early here and making the most of it.
A couple of baskets for him. As Strickland takes a shot over Smith and banks it home.
Oh, nice push ahead there. You got to find him.
There's Andre Dawkins with his first shot. Curry, though, set and makes a third 3 already on the night. That gives Duke the lead at 17-16. Duke's first lead of the night. Watts on the block. Tips it up and in off his own miss. Good hustle.
Excellent hustle. When you miss one in close, Jim, you usually know how you've missed it, and you can beat the defenders to the ball. Bagging your own groceries, I call it.
And that's a reach in on McDonald. And they'll head to the benches off that foul. Another flashback. 1992 at North Carolina. Duke was the defending national champion, ranked #1, undefeated coming into the game. And Eric Montross led the Heels in their upset win. Leitner couldn't hit the shot at the end. Tar Heels won it 75-73. Folks, March Madness is coming, and you can experience it in a whole new way. Every game in its entirety on 4 different networks. It all begins March 13th. And Selection Sunday, we'll be there for that. We'll be in Indianapolis, and the NCAA Men's Basketball Committee, chaired by Gene Smith from Ohio State, will be summiting there beginning the middle of the week.
Yep, that's right. Getting ready to lock down and get their work done. It'll be really interesting as we talk about it. Who gets to the other #1 seed spots? I think Ohio State and Kansas are locked down pretty good. And then also, how do you see this very interesting field in terms of differentiation? That's a differentiator, partner. Tyler Zeller with the left-hand bang.
Tyler Zeller twice taken to the basket and able to fight off his defender.
Well, Jim, this is a game about can Duke defend well enough inside against Henson and Zeller, and can Carolina do a good enough job in transition and defending the three-point line?
Mason Plumlee makes that play. He stole it and then bounced it across and got the assist to Smith. They bring it back out with the 2 fouls. That's Barnes.
Beautiful showing the ball there. And he dribbled himself into a tougher shot as Singler challenged it. Got to look at the basket here, young fella.
Marshall with a 3.
He's a reluctant shooter, Jim, because he's so interested in room service diming his teammates. But when the opportunity is there to enhance his game and his teammates, he has to look to take good open shots.
Plumlee over Zeller, no. And that's Marshall dropping down low to pick up the rebound. That's kicked by Duke. You can run your own brackets online for free with Bracket Manager. Invite your friends, fill out brackets, and Bracket Manager does the rest. Sign up at cbssports.com/Bracket Manager. All that bracket mania found to become a part of our lives in 8 days.
For some people, it's already been a major part of their lives.
Oh, yes, right.
For the bracketologists, they've been working on it since December.
Sounds like they got to go to like med school to become a bracketologist. Carolina goes inside and gets the basket from Knox, who again was one of the starters on the floor at the beginning of this game on senior night. And that group did so well. Smith with a 3. Knox tips out to McDonald. Carolina up 4 and was pushing it up the floor for a minute.
Duke doing a nice job so far, Jim, in minimizing the transition opportunities for Carolina, but they haven't been able to handle them inside.
Uh-oh, that's the 3rd on Mason Plumlee. Oh, they called it the other way. They called it the other way. Wow, what a daring move that was, and it's on Knox, his first. Seth Curry leading the Duke scoring right now with 3 threes, 9 points.
Well, it's exactly what he did in the first meeting in the second half. They run some very simple stuff for him, moving without the ball, coming off screen, and he is very good at catching and shooting.
Singler baseline shot, yes.
Look at this push ahead. Look at this push ahead, Jim.
McDonald.
Off the made basket. 2 passes, and they're laying it up. That's one of the greatest fears of Coach K and his staff, the ability of this Carolina team to strike quickly after made field goals.
Rolls off the rim for Smith, and Henson sweeps. Henson steps up. They left him alone. They dared him. They challenged him. And that's Seth Curry coming away with it. Singler now guarded by McDonald. Got hit in the face. Snaps it across court to Smith. 5 on the shot clock. Curry steps in, puts up the shot back of the rim. And it's Knox making some plays. Driving in. It's off the glass for Strickland and 2. Carolina has tied its largest lead at 6. Feed the corner. Kelly. Up ahead again. Henson. Underneath. No, and it's Strickland going to bring it back out. Fade away Strickland, no.
Foul on Singler as he tried to push on that offensive rebound attempt. North Carolina leads by 6. I want to circle the shot distribution for both teams because it's going to be a theme throughout the game, folks. Look at how many three-point shots Duke has taken compared to Carolina and the difference in the shooting percentage. That's going to be a huge story because Duke relies on the three-pointer. They take 21 a game. North Carolina takes about 17. Carolina usually makes 3 fewer than their opponents on a game-to-game basis, but they overcome that by working inside. Which style will prevail here tonight? Carolina going inside or Duke going through the drive-through window?
Duke's already taken 12 threes, as you showed, and that's going to be a call on Kelly. They averaged 22 threes attempted a game. They're already put up 12. That foul on Kelly is his first.
And Duke makes about 8 a game. Carolina 5 to 6. So there's a couple of there's 2 3-point field goals differential there between the teams. And then the ability of Duke to defend Carolina in transition, because they really are getting better at pushing the ball at the pace that Roy Williams wants to see this team push the ball from defense to offense.
That last foul was the 16th foul on Duke. Barnes gets a soft roll off the glass and the rim. And now the Heels are up 8 for the first time on the night. An 11-2 stretch. Quick shot, Singler and Henson. Behind the back, able to maintain control. Bounce right back to Henson twice.
They're really looking inside. Knox battling with Ryan Kelly. Good help by Kelly. He's got to let his defender get through now. He didn't. Got there too late. Kelly did not let his guard get through to catch back up with Kendall Marshall, and the freshman took full advantage of being able to get his shoulder by the defender. Here's Kendall Marshall doing a masterful job, taking his shots when they're there and finding other people, attacking the paint. North Carolina wants to dine inside. Duke really relies more on the drive-through approach, the three-point shot.
Three-point play by Marshall, who was all smiles. The foul was on Tyler Thornton, and it's an 11-point Carolina lead. With the last 9 to the Heels. Curry ends that stretch.
Boy, he's tough coming off that screen.
Again, they try to beat Duke down on the floor. And they turn it over.
One of the keys to being effective defensively in transition is you've got to retreat, you've got to see the ball, and you've got to be chattering. You've got to be talking as a team. That's what Duke worked on yesterday, and I just saw Coach K indicating we've got to make sure we're seeing the ball, running back, and talking to each other. Because really, Zeller was behind the defense. He just mistimed the catch. That ball went right through his hand.
That's the first foul on Zeller, and that's number 7 on the Tar Heels, so it's the 1-on-1.
Yeah, we're there both ways, Jim. Both teams over the limit. Duke is an excellent free throw shooting team, 74% in conference play. North Carolina right about 70% in league play.
One more for Miles Plumlee. Seen Kyrie Irving a couple of times. We saw what he's been doing to rehab that toe that's kept him out of action since December the 4th. Fascinating.
It really is.
Stuff by the training staff of the Blue Devils.
Yeah, Nick Potter and Jose Francesa doing the work, and they have him actually now beginning to do a little bit of on-the-court work as Henson gets his own, and 2 more points in the paint for North Carolina.
Now Henson, he is so long. What a presence he is. Singler, Max Henson tapping it out to a teammate. Marshall racing up the floor. Tipped up, no. Henson thought he was going to get the follow-up, but Mason Plumlee came over to interject. This week on Dave, don't miss Justin Bieber, Adam Sandler, Howard Stern, and Monday, Betty White, followed by The Late Late Show with Craig Ferguson, only CBS. Inside of 5 minutes to go in the first half. Jim Nance with Clark Kellogg here at the Dean Smith Center in Chapel Hill.
Let me correct myself. The trainer here is Jose Fonseca and Nick Potter doing the work with all of the Duke athletes, but certainly with Kyrie Irving and his rehabilitation from the toe injury. And he's making good, steady progress. And how about Miles Plumlee? What about his contribution, Jim, off the bench?
7 points. What's the next factor he's been as Henson, though, takes the pass from Marshall.
Well, that's got to drive the coaching staff crazy for Duke, because they work extensively on running back, the big guys protecting the paint and talking to each other. And a few times now, Carolina has been able to beat them for scores at the rim. You're going to beat a team on its home floor, Jim. You can't allow them to play to their strength all game long. You've got to take something away.
Singler, that 1-2 punch for Duke. Smith over to Singler as the Blue Devils kept that possession alive. 6 points now for Singler.
Nice play by Nolan Smith.
Going to a break now with 3:40 to go in the first half. A 38-31 North Carolina lead, and we look back to a game in 1995 between these two at Duke. Carolina heavily favored. Duke was without Coach K for the season. Carolina led by 3 in overtime, but Capel hit that famous half-court shot, send the game into double overtime. Carolina won it then. AT&T and CBSSports.com keep you up to speed on the latest NCAA basketball highlights, scores, and analysis right on your AT&T phone, whether at home or on the go. That's your life. Clark Kellogg on the go.
Yes, sir. Airports, hotels, and arenas.
And 18 games to call from tonight until April the 4th. 18 games.
I'm ready.
31 days.
I'm ready. Are you?
I am.
Okay.
So good to be back at your side.
The feeling is mutual, partner. You know that.
One more coming up for Nolan Smith with 7 points right now. Give him 8.
Well, considering how Carolina has been able to dominate things inside, it's 22 to 8 points in the paint. And yet Duke with 2 more three-point field goals made and a free throw advantage, only down 5, a 2-possession game right now.
Right over Singler. It was a 2. He had a toe on the line. Tough shot.
Textbook form. His mechanics are perfect. And at 6'8", with his release point, he can get his shot up in the face of most defenders.
Smith working it hard. What a shot. Wow. What an effort.
Nolan doing his thing one-on-one. That's just excellent offense, because I thought Strickland defended him well.
Marshall hits another shot. Carolina shooting 56% here in the first half.
How about Marshall? 4 dimes, 10 points, and a masterful job of running his team.
Singler thought he'd get the call. No whistle. There's Marshall. Spins past Curry and does it again. Timeout, Duke. Coach K wants to talk about how they let him get away right here with one move. Coming up on AT&T at the half, join Greg Gumbel, Greg Anthony, Seth Davis. All the scores and highlights, the latest NCAA tournament news, and a Naismith Watch presented by AT&T. It's all coming up on AT&T at the half, which is inside of 2.5 minutes to go. Carolina's lead has been as large as 11. There's Kelly, and he's missed his 5 shots, all from beyond the perimeter. There's Barnes, and he gets another one from the outside. They rule it a 2. That was close to a 3. Smith fouled on the drive.
I talked to Harrison Barnes just briefly prior to the game, Jim, while he was going through his pregame shot routine. And that young man was confident, composed, and focused. And you can see it in his play. You know, really good players, when they've had a subpar game against the same opponent, they get extra juiced up to try to make amends. And he's been on top of his stuff here tonight in the first half. This guy is always on top of his stuff. Nolan Smith could make a strong case for him as player of the year. Roy Williams told us yesterday if he had a vote, Nolan Smith would be his player of the year. If I had a vote, it would be Jimmer Fredette. Number 1, Nolan Smith, 1A. Jimmer had 38 today in a win against Wyoming, and he's been spectacular all season long.
That last foul was on McDonald, his second. Barnes, his first miss from out there.
He was feeling it. That was a heat check. He stepped right in and stepped back. He didn't miss it by much.
There's an open look for a 3. Yes. McDonald. And that's the most first half points allowed by Duke this season. Carolina now reaching 49. And still a minute and 20 to go. To Plumlee, no, rolls off the rim, and it's Zeller jumping over to snatch it away. Up 12, approaching a minute. That's on Curry, his second. How about Marshall?
Well, he has been maestroing masterfully. Kendall Marshall controlling this game with his dime dropping, and he put him in the agitator right there, partner. Spun him around and put him away. But he has been absolutely splendid. 12 points, 5 assists, 5 of 6 shooting. You can't grade out much better than that, Jim, for the minutes he's played. Now, we've got 20 more to go, but the 19 minutes he's put forth here so far, stupendous.
You're in trouble when you get put in the agitator.
Oh, yeah, that's major. Hey, you're done. You're done in the agitator. Yeah,
I don't want to go there.
Yeah, it's over. You got that right.
McDonald at the line, 1-1. And they've already reached 50 now. It's interesting all your thoughts about player of the year, and you've seen Fredette and now Smith back-to-back weeks. You were with BYU at San Diego State last week. Of course, they've lost since then. And now you get a chance to see Nolan Smith. Not the first time this year.
Right. Yeah, but they, I mean, again, you can, it's just a matter of what flavor you like, but both are worthy. There's no doubt. But with only one guy being able to win it, I think Jimmer has been brilliant in a special kind of way this year.
That is Smith.
Well,
he's got 14 of Duke's 39. Of course, the tenor of this game is similar to the one over at Cameron last month.
Great point, Jim. Excellent point.
And Carolina had a 14-point halftime lead in that one.
The difference here, though, is that North Carolina has made perimeter shots. They did it all inside, I thought, in that game at Durham. They've balanced it nicely with attacks in the paint and also timely perimeter shooting.
We're on the shot clock. Knox. That's going to be called on Plumlee. So again, they're playing winner take all, if you will.
Yep.
For the ACC regular season outright title. It's just the 6th time they've ever met in the final game with the ACC outright on the line.
And Carolina has won 3 of the 5 prior meetings, and also the winner tonight would be the #1 seed in the ACC tournament.
That was the second foul on Miles Plumlee, and Curry comes in, shooting here with 17 seconds to go. We talked about Duke's case for a #1 seed. You know, North Carolina is going to move up from its 13th in the rankings this past week. But if they were to win tonight, then keep this momentum going to the ACC tournament, you just wonder how high a seed, how good a seed they could get come next Sunday night.
And that's going to be really interesting because there are a number of teams out there that could make some moves along the seed lines. I mean, you look at Pittsburgh and Notre Dame in the Big East. Obviously, Pittsburgh is in the conversation for a #1 seed, and I think they're in pretty good shape. But if Notre Dame was somehow able to win the Big East tournament, would that put them in position in what's considered the toughest conference in the country, which I agree with? Let's see if Carolina can get a stop here. You know it's Nolan Smith one-on-one and he can hurt you.
Takes a three. Long rebound. Shot at the buzzer is going to be short. That was Strickland who launched it. 12-point lead for the Heels at halftime. They close with a 12-4 run to lead it by a dozen. And let's go back to the studio, back to Greg Gumbel in New York.
Thank you, guys. Coming up on AT&T at the half, scores and highlights. And were there any shakeups among the potential #1 seeds today? After this message and a word from your local station.
CBS Sports presents AT&T at the half. AT&T, the nation's fastest mobile broadband network.
Hello once again, everyone, and welcome to AT&T at the half. I'm Greg Gumbel. At halftime in Chapel Hill, North Carolina, leading Duke by a score of 51-39. I am joined by the soothiest of soothsayers, Greg Anthony and Seth Davis. What'd you see in that first half?
Well, a couple things. One, transition really hurt Duke in this basketball game, but the other area of concern has got to be their inability to defend the paint. And you're going to take a look here. Harrison Barnes is going to set a back screen on Tyler Zeller, and Duke's going to be so concerned about his ability to post it and score it that they run a weak side staggered. And because the help man is afraid to go out and hedge on this shooter, he wants to guard the paint. It creates a rhythm opportunity here for North Carolina to knock down a jump shot. That's an advantage you have when you can run post offense to create rhythm shots on the perimeter.
And North Carolina shooting 58% from the floor. And very interesting when you have two of the best players on the floor matched up against each other defensively. Neither's been too much of a huge factor. Harrison Barnes, the freshman, going up against the senior of Duke, Kyle Singler. And the important thing is each of those guys only has one personal foul. And I have to say, Harrison Barnes has not shot a free throw, and Singler has only shot twice. Both of them are better on the bounce. They need to attack more.
All right, earlier today, Kansas and Missouri, despite turning the ball over 24 times, KU went on to win the Big 12 title.
Well, it helps when you got Marcus Morris here. Great game, 21-10 points. But then Marcus Denman not really to give up this game yet. Knocks down the three. But then how about Tyrell Reed here? This was the dagger, folks, that sealed the deal for Kansas. 7 consecutive Big 12 regular season titles.
They win it by 4, 70-66. Wyoming went out to BYU, where the Cougars, after a slow start, got rolling.
And that's the guy who's been in the news all week, Brandon Davies. Good to see him on the bench. He was not on the bench the other night when they lost at home to New Mexico. And, folks, they're not as bad as they played the other night. I don't think they can get a #1 seed. Maybe they can't win a national championship without their best post player, but they are a good basketball team. Jimmer Fredette went out in style today with an easy one.
102-78, the Cougars a winner. Meanwhile, in the Big East, Villanova and Pitt Panthers, Pittsburgh with the challenge squarely ahead of them today.
Yeah, they did. Notre Dame having won, meaning Pittsburgh needed to win this game to be the #1 seed in the Big East tournament. That's what they did. Thanks for 18 from Ashton Gibbs. And how about Villanova? Now they have lost 4 games in a row and 6 of their last 8. Not the way you want to go into the postseason.
Pittsburgh claims the Big East. They win it by 10. Meanwhile, Purdue had a bad day in Iowa.
Yeah, they did not play well here. Devin Marble with the alley-oop to Melshon Basabe, able to get the finish. And then how about Bryce Cartwright? Goes down with the injury to his right leg. Helped off the floor, but he would come back late in this game. DJ Bird able to knock down his 3 for Purdue, put him up 1 at this point, but Iowa just had a little bit too much down the stretch. Bryce Cartwright with the finish, and folks, what a critical loss for Purdue. It probably will cost them a chance to get a #1 seed, because if they had won out, I think they had a legitimate opportunity.
Let's take a look at the #1 seeds in your view. Start with you, Greg.
Well, I got Ohio State as the 1 overall, Duke right there, and Kansas. I don't necessarily have them ranked in terms of those are my 4 #1s.
Well,
that's the way I'm going with it.
Duke is ranked 4th on my #1 seed chart, and even if they lost this game tonight, I would still have them as a 1, but it would be easier for them to get leapfrogged if they don't win the ACC tournament.
All right, guys. Meanwhile, Notre Dame went into UConn, and the Irish played themselves a pretty good game today.
And this is a team that I think has a legit chance to become a #1 seed if they can win out, at least get to the Big East championship game. UConn had an opportunity here down the stretch. Kemba Walker, game high 34, folks, but he does not look to pull the trigger here down the stretch. UConn doesn't even get a shot out. What a big-time win for Notre Dame. Ben Hasbro fouled out early in this game in the second half. They're able still to hold on and win.
You mentioned Ben Hasbro. Funny you do that, which brings us to the Naismith Watch, presented by AT&T. Seth?
Oh, that's an assist to Greg Anthony yet again. Ben Hansbrough, 3rd in the Big East in scoring, had 21 points today and didn't even play the last 7.5 minutes. He's a passionate player. Mike Bray says he can either heat the gym or burn it down, and he's been hot all season.
Voting for the winner begins when the 4 finalists are announced March the 20th. 20th to register. Text VOTE to 345-345 on your mobile phone. For more on the Naismith Watch, go to ncaa.com/Naismith. Back to the scoreboard. Louisville went to West Virginia. It was the Mountaineers that came up winners today.
What a great game. Casey Mitchell here knocks down the three to tie it. And Preston knows what a difficult day he had. Doesn't knock down a shot, then commits the foul here to send Truck Bryant to the line. He was able to knock down both of his free throws. How about West Virginia down 3 with less than 10 seconds? They won it by 2 in regulation.
Coach Bob Huggins wins his 100th game at West Virginia. DePaul, well, they were scheduled to play at Syracuse. They really didn't show up, Seth.
This was technically a basketball game, but it didn't look like a competitive game for long. And Syracuse has been playing really good basketball. This was their 5th consecutive victory heading into the Big East tournament. They've got the double bye. They've got some really nice momentum heading into the NCAA tournament.
Syracuse shot 71%. They went 107
They missed a
to
couple.
59. And number 14, Florida, traveling to Vanderbilt. You can't trust anybody in this conference either, Greg.
No, this conference much improved here. Brad Tinsley with the finish. But then how about Alex Tyus here? After getting the rebound, presence of mind, and get it to the little fella who could. Irving Walker able to get the finish, and then this was one that really sealed the deal. Kenny Boyd knocks down the 3 with the foul. Florida goes into Vandy and knocks him off.
Clinches the SEC title, 13-3 overall. And South Florida against the Red Storm of St. John's.
St. John's had the loss the other night at Seton Hall. They're having a blackout out in Queens. The senior class has never won a game in these black uniforms. You'd figure it'd be a layup getting South Florida at home, but it's been a bit of a struggle. This is Sean Noriega going to hit the three-pointer for the corner, and look at that halftime score, down by a bucket.
And don't forget, we will officially put March Madness into motion 1 week from tomorrow night, 6 Eastern Time. CBS Sports presents the NCAA Basketball Championship Selection Show. We'll bring you the exclusive, live, first announcement of all the seedings and pairings for the 68-team tournament field. Seth? Your Sweet 16.
Well, it's going to change by the hour, might change in an hour, because right now I have North Carolina as a 3 seed. If they win this game tonight, I would flip them in Purdue. I mentioned about Duke being the last one, so I put Notre Dame out in the West because they're my number 1-2 seed with the best chance to move up to the top line, as Greg said.
You know what? Keep an eye on North Carolina. Again, this team, if they win today, they win the ACC regular season outright. If they were to win the title in terms of the conference tournament, they still have a legitimate chance, I think, at trying to get a number 1 seed.
Are you done?
Oh.
We thank you for joining us here on AT&T at the half. We'll get you back to Jim and Clark for the second half of Duke and North Carolina after this.
CBS Sports presents AT&T at the half. AT&T, the nation's fastest mobile broadband network.
North Carolina leads it at halftime, 51-39 over number 4 Duke.
And we take a look at why North Carolina is on top. Ball movement and shot making. 8 different players have scored. They've gotten outstanding contributions from Barnes, Strickland, and McDonald on the perimeter. Singler has struggled, only 2 of 7. But Nolan Smith and Seth Curry have carried the load, 24 of the 39. But Marshall was the player of the first half. 12 points and 5 assists for him.
Well, they had a 14-point lead in the first matchup. Duke came back. We'll be right back.
CBS Sports college basketball coverage is sponsored by AT&T. Rethink possible. Nationwide Insurance. Nationwide is on your side. And by the Capital One Venture Card. What's in your wallet?
Back at the Dean Dome, Jim Nance and Clark Kellogg as the Tar Heels put up 51 on the Devils in the first half. Does that surprise you?
No, they were really in their rhythm, and they got the ball inside, and they made perimeter shots. I thought McDonald and Strickland in particular were excellent on them in knocking down open shots.
Let's take a look at the first half stats presented by Bud Light. And what do you see here?
Well, you see a big rebounding advantage for North Carolina, plus 9 points in the paint. We talked about it in the first half. Carolina plus 14 there. And then you look at the number of guys that have scored for Carolina versus only 4 for Duke. Duke needs Kyle Singler to get going, to be aggressive and productive. And they also need to do a better job of getting back and not allowing Kendall Marshall to get into the lane and orchestrate things the way he did in that first half.
Again, Singler 2 out of 7 in that first half.
Seth Curry starts here for Duke. He had a terrific first half. Let's see how Carolina defends him here in the second half.
Smith off the glass with an immediate 2. Smith now with 16.
Well, in the last 2 halves, that makes it 68 out of 89 points for Smith and Curry out of Duke's total in the last 2 halves against Carolina.
Going back to that big comeback.
Yeah, in the second half.
Okay, they do it again. There's Curry with a 3, and he had Plumlee open down to the baseline, but he took the open 3 and knocks it down. And just like that, it's down to 7.
How about that? The 2 guys that Carolina had the toughest time with in the first half come out and make the first 2 baskets for Duke.
From 14 at one time, and it's down to 7.
And Jim, we talked about the 3-point shot. Duke has a number of guys that can shoot it and make it. Nice jump hook that time. That's Zeller's shot. Just didn't get it to go.
Miles Plumlee with the box out. They go with both Plumlees to start the half with Ryan Kelly sitting, and that shot defended by Strickland, and here come the Tar Heels. Barnes pull off 3. No. Tipped over to Miles Plumlee, who's having a good night.
He sure is. He's been terrific off the bench for Duke.
Now with 6 rebounds to go with 7 points.
Duke spaces the floor so well, Jim. They've got Marshall trying to defend Curry now. But they spread you out. Makes it really tough for you to rotate effectively to the shooters when that ball moves.
Here's Singler driving in, and the first 7 of the second half goes to Duke. Off the head of Zeller, and a foul call on Curry. Had a hold of Tyler Zeller, and that's the 3rd on Curry.
Boy, that could be big. Look at this nice drive. Going to the left, and then he goes away from the shot blocker to his right hand. Henson, one of the best in the country at blocking shots, and Singler that time anticipated where he was and went right away from it.
Barnes lost it on the drive, and it's a turnover back to Duke. Wow, what a mental game it is, too, when you start, if you're the North Carolina side, start to think of the comparisons to when it all started to go terribly wrong. That Cameron didn't hit a shot from 3 of 6 in the second half on that night. And there's a steal by Barnes, trying to turn the tide back, and Barnes drives in. What a move.
What about the body control there? He thought he got fouled. He thought he got fouled, but I think Singler just ran next to him and away from him.
Curry takes the full pass off the front of the rim, back down to Smith. Zeller's on him. He can't take the shot. Sets up Singler on the wing, rattles out. Curry closed in on Strickland. Took away the 3. Barnes. And by the way, they're without Reggie Bullock now for the rest of the season. Injured his knee against Maryland last Sunday, and that's a big loss for this young man. The freshman from Kinston, North Carolina, gives him 6 points a game. By the way, the 3rd foul on Miles Plumlee.
But he also gives him another athletic wing player when he's healthy. But he had that knee injury in high school and had never really gotten traction with his rehabilitation. So he never was really 100% healthy. And now they're going to shut him down for good, have surgery, and then go through rehab. Hopefully he has a really good, strong summer, and then he'll come back and be ready to go next season.
Barnes gets them both. Now with 13.
Big couple of basketball, a big 4 points for Harrison Barnes there to stem the little momentum that Duke had with its mini surge. Excellent job by Marshall to move his feet and keep Curry from beating him off the dribble. Now you want to make sure you're tight to him on the catch.
Kelly back on the floor, baseline shot, and his first make of the night.
Well, he's a shooter, Jim. In conference play on 2-point field goals, he's shooting 72%. So he's a guy who can make shots. He had a tough first half, but he's not going to miss quality shots all night long.
Had one stretch this season of making 18 straight from the field, 7 of which were threes.
Yep.
Unbelievable stretch. Zeller swatted away by Mason Plumlee.
But it was the job Kelly did underneath Zeller that allowed Mason to get there. Watch Kelly, body up, chest up, and that allows Plumlee to get there, and it also affected the trajectory of that Zeller shot. Good head, but they rotated late.
Comes around for the dunk. What a pass it was, too, by Marshall.
One of the greatest attributes a player can have is vision in this game of basketball. And he's got it.
Tipped up, no. Kelly had a free shot at it. Barnes, he's going to step back and then give it up.
Oh, he's going to take him.
Yep.
Going to go to work. Or play out of the double team. That's what happened.
Leads to a Barnes three.
That is great basketball, recognizing the mismatch and then taking what's available after you pass out of the double team.
A 9-2 run by Carolina after the first 7 of the half went to the Devils. Alley-oop defended by Henson. Marshall lost it. Out with it is Smith. Marshall will challenge. No, he won't. He'll give it to him to bring it to 10.
That's a good, smart play, though. The turnover is costly, but you don't want to compound it with a foul on a guy like Nolan Smith going to the rim. It's a nice way for you to come back. This is racehorse basketball. You got to strap it on tight tonight.
First one to 100 wins. Barnes short on the fadeaway. And a little intensity, too.
Oh, man.
You got to love.
Special.
His rivalry always is. Smith. Boy, he found a little seam. Exploited it.
He doesn't need much room. No double team here. That's a foul on Plumlee. His fourth.
Yeah, number 4 on Plumlee. And they'll go to the benches. And we'll go to the flashback of 1998 at Duke when the Devils were ranked 1. Carolina was 3. There was some missed free throws at the end of that game that were crucial. And Duke won it by 2, giving Coach K his 500th career victory. Well, we talked about it earlier today here on CBS, and the whole sports broadcasting industry has been paying tribute the last 24 hours to Frank Chirkinian, a real hero to the CBS sports family, considered the father of golf television, 38 Masters, many awards, Sports Broadcasting Hall of Fame, passed away yesterday. A friend, a mentor, and a father figure to so many here at CBS Sports, and he will be so missed. And Strickland.
He's going to be called for an offensive foul there, I think, Jim. He pushed off. He had the lane and then used that off arm to try to get all the way to the rim.
That's his second. Plumlee spins. Oh, he's blocked from behind by Henson. Marshall puts it up. No.
Boy, he had Singler on him that time and got all the way to the rim and just undershot it. There you see the shooting this half. Duke much better to start the half. And a big reason they've been much better is Nolan Smith, who's been brilliant all season long. Turning the corner. All he needs is a little crevice off a turnover. So good off the dribble because he can pull up for the jump shot, but he also can take it all the way to the rack. And as a defender, you're not sure which he's going to do, so you have to just get squared up on him.
Singler way too high off the glass, but comes back outside. That last foul was the second on Marshall, and that's going to be on Smith.
Yeah, just an unfortunate play there. Nothing malicious as Lester McDonald goes down. He's just trying to rake the ball through, anticipating the closeout, and there McDonald was. And yep, just incidental contact as he jammed him up. Good defense, and then just a natural turning of the elbow. McDonald is up and seems to be okay, and immediately Nolan Smith went to try to help him up. So good sportsmanship and no malice intended. Boy, Tyler Zeller has not been able to get his customary looks on those cross screens, moving him into the low post area. Duke doing a nice job there.
That foul was on Andre Dawkins. His first. He's only seen 4 minutes of action so far as Dawkins.
The 15th foul on Duke. Here's Zeller. That's his shot.
Yep, and he takes it.
He did a great job of getting his body right into Ryan Kelly before Kelly could react, and then the ball was delivered right on time.
Back to a double-digit lead.
Big difference, points in the paint.
Here's Kelly, squared up, dips out. There's Zeller, what a pass. Whipped it in there, did Marshall.
His head is always up, Jim, and he is always looking to make the pass. What a great find.
And one. Smith able to get the shot, and a foul call against McDonald to be a free throw out of the break. As we look back at the 2005 game at Duke, J.J. Redick led the number 7 ranked Devils against number 2 Carolina. And Duke relied on its tough defense to prevent Carolina from getting off the shot at the end of the game as the Devils won it at 71-70. Yes, the countdown to Houston. 1 week and 20.5 hours to go as Smith completes the three-point play that began on the other side of the break. The third foul on McDonald. And that gets Duke back to within 9.
Yeah, he ran.
Traveling call on Zeller as we all look forward, partnering up with our friends from Turner.
Yes.
And presenting a whole new way of broadcasting the NCAA tournament on 4 networks. Barnes comes back on the floor for Watts.
Barnes still matched up with Singler. There's Nolan Smith coming off the screen. And I think Knox was guilty of the foul there.
How about the find of Knox for this team? Played 3 years at Alabama, graduated in August. And as a graduate student here at North Carolina, had eligibility remaining. This is a young man who played in 83 games for the Crimson Tide, including 48 starts.
And Carolina offered a program, a graduate program, not available at Alabama, so that's why he was able to come here and play immediately. And Seth Curry continues to be Robin to Nolan Smith, Batman.
I like that. What a sweet stroke that was to get Duke within 6. 18 on the night for Curry as Knox makes the big step to the basket, and he's got 5.
Well, Jim, it seems like it's going to come down to what we talked about in the first half, the inside prowess of North Carolina versus the perimeter marksmanship of Duke. And how can they defend Curry? He's off the screen short there.
Had a good look at it. Singler, though, ran to the rebound.
Boy, he does so many good things. I mean, I know he struggles shooting the ball. But my, does he play with the kind of effort and relentlessness you like to see. And there's, oh, I thought that was in the hole. It looked like it was right in the bucket there. He got his team another good shot, though, did Singler.
Mason Plumlee. Tomorrow on CBS, The Amazing Race is in Japan, where the teams slip, slide, and take aim to stay in the game. New Amazing Race tomorrow. Only CBS. That is actually 4 now on Mason Plumlee. Zeller at the line with 10 and looking for another.
I thought he had been Dairy Queen, but he still has life. So we must have miscalculated a foul that we thought was given to him.
He's got 4, and the Carolina lead is back to 10. Back to Duke. As John Henson returns to the floor for Carolina. Really has been some season for North Carolina, for that man, Roy Williams, who lost the Ware twins in the offseason. Will Graves left the team. So did Larry Drew, and coming off a really uneventful year, a year after a championship, as Taylor, front of the rim, and Henson the only one there. Come back and get this team at 23-6, winning 11 of 12 here late in the year.
Oh, you would have to put his name in the conversation for Coach of the Year. I mean, based on what this team has been able to do and how they've progressed. I mean, you've got a number of coaches out there. Steve Lavin at St. John, certainly Sean Miller at Arizona. Bo Ryan, you could always mention. Offensive foul. And it goes against Singler.
They actually call it on Kelly.
Ryan Kelly, I'm sorry.
That's his second. And they'll take Mason out and bring Miles Plumlee in. Singler is 3 out of 12 on the night.
You know, I watch him and I look at his numbers all year long, and he seems to have a few too many of those kinds of games. And I think part of it is that he doesn't get his feet consistently set on his perimeter shot, and it affects his percentage, because he doesn't take a lot of bad shots, and I think he's a good shooter, but I think sometimes his shot preparation below the waist is a little untidy.
He comes with a nice defensive play. Smith at the other end, and a foul call on Carolina on Henson.
I'll tell you what, I love the way Nolan Smith attacks. He is relentless, and you think about him and Singler, they typically go the distance multiple times a season, but their effort doesn't ever wane. And here you take nice crossover dribble there. Yeah, I think Henson was leaning. Had he stood up straight and anchored himself, he would have gotten that call, but he was backing away, and when you don't hold your ground there, the benefit of the doubt goes to the offensive player.
It was the third on Henson. Smith misfires on the first. Smith, who had a career-high 34 points in the February 9th game at Duke. He's got 23 tonight, does Smith, as you see Marshall back in for McDonald.
Roy does a nice job. He's only got 8 scholarship players, and he doesn't have anybody averaging 30 minutes a game. He's got about 4 guys, though, that average 28 minutes a game, although Marshall has averaged over 30 in conference play.
24 now on the night for Nolan Smith, and it's a steal. And it slips out of the hands of Miles Plumlee, and a reach-in call on Singler. And for Singler, his second. Marshall continues to shine. What a number of assists tonight that have been spectacular to watch.
Oh, yeah, he's been phenomenal in that regard. He's always got his head up, Jim. But he also has the ability to fire that ball quickly and get it to his teammates on time and on target.
And the freshman from Dumfries, Virginia, at the line, 1-1, and bangs home the first. We're talking about a player who had a 16-assist game against Florida State. Now, is that significant? Well, it was the most in an ACC game in some 954 games in the ACC at North Carolina. Pretty impressive.
Very impressive. And he makes everybody's job a little easier. Guys know if they get open and they're alert that he's going to get the ball to them. He takes great pride and pleasure in doing that. Look at the field goal percentage difference.
Pass stripped out. That was Strickland who reached in and helped knock it away. As Barnes gets hit to the screen. Bangs it down. And it leads back to the halftime margin. Knew Henson could do that. Tried to get him to commit a couple of times, but boy, Henson stays with it. He absolutely defends that cylinder. 5 on the shot clock, and Smith is fouled in the act of shooting. Fouled by Strickland. But Barnes, here he is. He has 18 on the night, 9 in the second half, as the freshman puts them back up by a dozen. Trying to knock out the 4th-ranked team in the country and take the ACC.
CBS Sports College Basketball coverage is sponsored by Coca-Cola Zero, real Coke taste and 0 calories. Buick, see real stories of human achievement on the Buick Human Highlight Reel coming March 15th. And by Warner Brother Pictures, Sucker Punch, from the director of Watchmen at 300 in theaters March 25th.
And again, for those of you joining us late, this is the last game of the regular season for these two. The winner takes the Atlantic Coast Conference regular season crown. Smith will shoot one more at the line. That'd be just a monumental achievement for that North Carolina team. Again, given the players that were lost, the slumping early in the season with losses to Minnesota, Vanderbilt, Illinois, Texas. And then to go 13-2 up to this point in the conference. Particularly surging late since that number 5, Kendall Marshall, took control of things. And Rick Dawkins almost able to come out with the theft. Jim Nance and Clark Kellogg here at the Dean Smith Center on the Carolina campus. Inside of 7 minutes to play. In the paint, 2 passes and a foul call on the Devils.
I think that epitomizes part of the difference we've seen in the game, Jim. Contributions from far more players for North Carolina than what Duke has been able to get. And that possession, everybody touched it. They're late in the shot clock, but they're moving the ball, moving themselves, and ultimately they get Henson to the foul line, which could be an adventure because he's sub 50% as a free throw shooter.
That was the 4th foul on Miles Plumlee, and now Mason with 4 will replace his brother, his older brother, and their younger brother is committed to Duke for next year.
That's right, Marshall on his way to join the Blue Devils and his brothers.
Well, he got 1 out of 2. The lead back to 11. Smith with 26, Curry with 18. Those guards, 44.
They need this guy to knock down some shots, though, and he's 3 for 14 now. But they need Singler's ability to knock down shots, and it just hasn't been there tonight.
That Duke as a team now has missed his last 6.
And for Carolina, it's simply about being patient, attacking, making sure you get a good shot every trip.
Stays with the Tar Heels with 9 on the shot clock.
Well, I'm so impressed with this young man's poise. And he's unflappable, steady. Now, I've heard people talk about him reminding, well, Roy Williams told us yesterday.
Ed Cota,
Lenny Wilkins. And I even wrote down on my sheet a guy I watched covering the Indiana Pacers for years, Mark Jackson.
Yeah.
With his thinking man's approach and the way he understood rhythm, time, score, situation, who to get it to and how to get it to him. I mean, I see similarities there.
And he's got a double-double now on the night with his 10th dime, as you call it.
Set up. And if it's a real sweet dime, we call them room service.
There've been a few of those tonight. So much so they've been overfed. Curry. Duke with this long lapse without a shot from the field. And that's going to be it for Mason Plumlee. He fouls out. Was in foul trouble, had 2 quick ones in the first 2 minutes. Had 9 rebounds on the night, didn't score, but was battling it all night long.
Yep. Anytime you get early fouls, it can throw you off rhythm the whole game. Plumlee not pleased about it. And one of the things with this Duke team, the front line, is how physical can they be against the opposing line that has physicality.
Zeller with one more. He's the first team academic All-America, first one at Carolina since Eric Montross. Missed them both.
That's a rarity. He's an excellent free throw shooter. Just there's Eric.
Eric does the games here with Woody Durham.
You know, he was a ball boy when I was playing for the Pacers. He's the only ball boy that could ever look me eye to eye.
That's hard to believe. At that age, huh?
Yeah, he was about 14 or 15.
Wow. Well, 2007 right here. Gerald Henderson and Tyler Hansbrough. Remember this? Inadvertent elbow, attempting to block a shot. North Carolina won the game by 14. That was 4 years ago here in Chapel Hill. What a scene it was. Just look at these shooting percentages, Clark. What a story.
Big story there. You see the points in the paint, but 6 of 25 from behind the arc. 55% shooting. When you take shots in the paint, you're typically going to shoot a higher percentage, Jim. And Duke has had an disproportionate balance of their shots come from the three-point line and have not been as effective as they normally are. And when you don't have scoring in the post, that's an area of weakness for Duke going forward. Will somebody emerge as a post-scoring threat for them as they get ready for the ACC tournament and the NCAA tournament?
With 3 on the shot clock. Short with the shot. Off the floor, it's Plumlee. Will Duke mount a rally here? Can they find a little bit of a run? They had one little glimmer of hope coming right out of the locker room. But a turnover right here, right back to the heels.
A zig and a zag that time by Nolan Smith and Andre Dawkins. But again, they rely so much on the perimeter, Jim. They're operating without really being able to get anything inside other than off the one-on-one dribble. That puts a lot of pressure on your perimeter shooting.
Barnes back in. 4 minutes to go.
So this is a different deal here. And you've got guys you can throw it to in the post. If they don't score, they can pass it out when the defense converges and get quality looks.
Smith takes the shot over Zeller, and it's all North Carolina on that side for the rebound. And in no hurry.
No reason to be, partner. And in full control here.
It's pretty much been that way since mid-first half.
Yep.
Down to 4. Henson, it spins out. And Curry is fouled by Barnes. Duke with only 1 field goal in the last 7 minutes and 50 seconds. And now the Coke Zero impressive moment.
He's had plenty of them. Kendall Marshall, but none more impressive than that one. Most worthy of the Coke Zero impressive moment there, partner. Kendall Marshall. How about that double-double there?
He's been on track for that all night long. Could have given him that impressive moment right there on the spot. That was going to be hard to beat.
Yep.
Curry hits the front end of a one-on-one. Still 3:07 to go.
Yeah, there's some time left with the ability of Duke to make threes. They've struggled tonight, but always a threat to spray home a couple. You don't want to be attacking. You don't want to force yourself into a tough shot clock situation.
Barnes drives on Dawkins, and Henson able to maintain possession for the Tar Heels. His 10th rebound. That is now 9 consecutive games in double figures in rebounds. Reach-in call on Smith. After the game, head over to CBS College Sports Network for Inside College Basketball live from Duke UNC, where their crew will break down all the action from tonight's showdown here at the Dean Dome. Well, there's some CBS royalty in the house. There's Phyllis George from the NFL Today. And her daughter's a student here at the University of North Carolina, and she's all excited about a new pilot she's shooting, Sports by George. We wish Phyllis well.
Yes, sir.
So Marshall with one more, 2:24 on the clock. Seems like this lead the whole half has been somewhere between 9 and a dozen.
Yep, they've really done a nice job of massaging it. The defense has really been solid, and we've talked about how they've executed offensively. But they've made it tough for Duke with the defense, too. There's Dawkins. That might have been would have been a 4-point play had it gone down.
Barnes hacked him, so he'll shoot 3.
Well, a 4-point play chance had it gone down.
Trouble in paradise. A couple goes diving in the Caribbean, but only one of them comes back. Was it an accident or murder? 48 Hours Mystery is coming up next here tonight on CBS America's #1 network. So Dawkins will have 3 opportunities at the line. Barnes with his 3rd foul.
Well, to mount any kind of comeback here, Duke has to be close to perfect, and they'll need some cooperation from North Carolina. Got to make all of your good looks and then be able to force some mistakes with your defense. And that's deflating right there to get 3 chances at the line, and the best you can come away with is 1 point.
Missed all 3.
Or none.
And this crowd roars after that moment, even a little louder.
They've been quite engaged here from the start, Jim.
Some serious decibels levels here tonight.
It has been loud, and for good reason.
Timeout. Up 11, inside 2.
It's March. Take a deep breath. Here we go. Oh, it almost went in. Got to be kidding. How about the big fella? Come on. Oh, my goodness.
It is on the way. And it all gets cooking. 8 days away with Selection Sunday here on CBS. Still a minute 54 here to settle the ACC regular season title. Has been North Carolina almost all the way. 5 on the shot clock, and Zeller ups it to 13.
That was a called play out of the timeout, Jim, to get it into Zeller for the jump hook.
No for Smith. Snagged by Henson. And the Tar Heels with 90 seconds to go.
Well, it's been an excellent job of execution at both ends. The balanced attack offensively by North Carolina. And this team continues its trajectory north.
Timeout, Carolina. Now Duke just went flat here, and really, again, they've been consistently down by about a 10 margin most of the way. One field goal in the last 9:39. You know, Curry's hit 6 out of 10 from 3. The rest of the Devils 0 for 16 from 3.
And not much happening inside of the three-point line either, Jim, and that's where you really have concerns if you're Duke. Because you know sometimes that perimeter shot's just not going to be good enough for you.
Here on the shot clock, and Wilson driving in to put it away is Strickland. And that's the largest lead of the night at 15. This one closes it out.
Well, another example of the explosiveness of Carolina and then the late rotations of the big folks for Duke. They've been a step late on a number of their rotations all game long, and that's allowed Carolina to get all the way to the rim a number of times here tonight.
In a matchup of the last 2 national champions. Obviously far different roster on the North Carolina side from 2 years ago, but these are the last 2 programs to take the title in the end, and here they were tonight, coming in with matching 13-2 records in the ACC, and a Carolina team, most improbable conference championship it's going to be in the regular season.
And how about
Roy Williams' finest efforts?
And I tell you what, did you see the young fella Kendall Marshall? He rallied his guys, got him to the foul line, and he was the one doing most of the talking in the huddle. And from day one, when he got the keys to the Carolina basketball team as far as running the show, he's been a pretty vocal leader, and his play has spoken even louder.
Another misfire was Curry, who's the only one who had a hot outside hand. What is the team you only see in your bracket when they're released next Sunday? Going in on an incredible run. Of course, the ACC tournament still to come, and they'll be the #1 seed, of course. What a way to go out for their public address announcer after 50 years. Bernie Andrews started as a freshman, came in with Coach Smith. There he is. He walks out with a W as North Carolina is the Atlantic Coast Conference regular season champion. And they storm the floor at the Dean Dome in a week where Coach Smith celebrated his 80th birthday on Monday.
A special night here, partner. And they deserve to celebrate. Roy Williams felt like this team had the chance to dream big, and this is one of the dreams they felt they could realize. And now it's on to the ACC tournament and beyond. But what an accomplishment. Outstanding.
For Clark Kellogg, Jim Nance saying so long from Chapel Hill. Coming up next on CBS is 48 Hours Mystery. This Tar Heel bunch has really gelled as a team.
Without
They
question.
bought into the whole idea of teamwork wins. They take the regular season title. This has been a presentation of CBS Sports on our 30th road to the Final Four.